Okay, now that we have a lot of our game state in, and we have the capture point mostly done, we need to go through and update all of those other classes that we just made functions for and events for, but we actually didn't do any of the logic for them. So let's go ahead and do that, starting with the characters. So I'm going to double click on that. We have a lot of epic logic on here. I'm going to try and stay out of it for the most part. But we need to do what we've been doing, and we need to wait for our variables to be ready. We're going to have a different set of variables than we have before, so this will be a little bit different. So I'm not going to just copy paste or do anything like that. But I'm going to go over here. I'm going to add a call to my parent function. Once again, this is old epic logic that just gets added by default to the project. So let's go into here. Let's say add custom event. Wait for hash variables to be ready. Okay, let's call that. All right, then let's just, as usual, bring it on down here. We still have a reset character, which is from a previous function. All right. Okay, the thing that we're going to do differently, instead of just waiting for our game state, we need to get our player state, and this is very commonly not ready. So let's go ahead and say, let's see if we can just do get player state. All right, and we need to go ahead and cast to capture flag player state. Okay, and if it's not ready, we're going to do the loop thing that we've done in the past. So we're going to set timer for next tick by event. Create an event. Wait for cached variables to be ready. Cool. Then we can save our player state here. Let's see, promote to variable. And it looks like we already have that name taken, so we're going to say capture flag player state. All right. Cool. Okay, after we have our player state, we're just going to go ahead and say that cached variables are ready. So let's get that event made. Okay. Comment it. Just have done this to start. F2. Oops. All right. Color in there. Cool. Hash variables ready. So we're going to do a few things. First things first, we're going to do a binding from the player state. So we can get this. Get it. We're to a validated get. Let's do a sequence here because we're going to do a bunch of stuff. All right. We made an on team changed event. At least I thought we did. Let's look at our player state real quick. We got a bunch of stuff up here. I'm going to clean it up by just getting rid of stuff we don't need right now. Game mode. There's our player state. So let's look at our on rep. Okay, so we didn't put anything. Oh, there's the unwrap. Okay, so we did there. So it's called on player team change. So let's go back. On player team change. Bind event to on player team change. There it is. And we're gonna go create an event for it. Event on player team changed. There we go. And when we start binding to events, we really should also unbind to things like this. So let me show you how you do that for end play. Any bindings you set up, you need to unbind them so it doesn't basically try to call an event as it's tearing down. Just like begin play, we add the call to the parent function. This is an inherited event from, I believe it's the actor class. So let's get our capture flag player state. That was the setter. I didn't want that. Get it, convert it to a validated get. Okay, and then we're going to say, let's see, on player team changed. And we're going to say unbind event from on player team changed. Okay. Create event. On player team change. Cool. And then let's comment that up. Let's make our end play a unique color so it stands out. So all right, on player team change. Let's hook that up. Okay, now there's a few things though that I wanted to do in addition to setting up this binding. Okay, another binding that we need to add here is one that is in the character itself. Or I think it's on the actor actually, but it's inherited either way, so we shouldn't have to use anything. So it'll just be on take point damage. We could have bound to this sooner, but this is just a good spot. You can look at this variable's ready as your new begin play. It's just it's now a good spot to say like, okay, what I need is ready. And in addition to that, we're going to do all of our initialization of, whether it be bindings or whatever, we're going to do it right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So on take point damage, create event. And how this will work. Oops, we already have that. So we need to go, let's say on receive point damage. I just changed the name because since it is inherited, it already has a variable with that name, so you can't have two things with the same name. And basically what that is you can have like a bullet or something apply point damage, and then if you applied it to that actor, let's say it's the character, that event will fire off. So it's pretty neat. It's something built into the system. It's the point damage. There's any damage. There's radial damage, I believe. all sorts of different damage types. So I'm just going to bind to it right here because we're already binding to things. And since we're doing that, we should also unbind from things. So let's go ahead and do that. Unbind event for bond take point damage. Create your event. I'll receive point damage. That was the new one we just made. We can just keep dragging this stuff down. As you can see, these things just keep getting bigger and bigger. Fine. We have all the room in the world. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, and I wanna change the order of some things right here so we can do things just a little more sensibly, a little more combined. So let's just move this one over just for a second. Let's do this one first. We'll see why in a second, because I don't want to be talking about the team, talk about point damage, and then go back to talking about team stuff. So you're going to see. Here we bind our on team change. And what we need to do to the things that happen when your team changes are like the color of the character is going to change, so it makes it a lot easier to determine who's what. Lots of stuff is going to reset. So what we need to do is when we first set up right here, we need to just go ahead and trigger as if there was a team change, because it's the initial team change from nothing to an actual team. So let's set that up. And we'll just make it an event called team changed. So let's just throw down an event down here. Team changed. Maybe we can make it on team changed. Yeah. And we got point damage. We're talking about binding to teams right here. Let's just say on team changed. All right. And we need to feed that the actual team. So let's go down to where we just made that and add an input for team. All right. In team. Okay. Go back up. That's my unbinds. My team changed. And we can get our player team from the player state that we were waiting for. So player team. Use the getter. Okay, so now we have our, ooh, I don't like that color matchup. It's difficult to see. Go for, there you go. I was worried about that right there. Okay, now we can see it. You know, and earlier when I said we just needed the player state, I lied a little bit because the team change stuff is also going to be reliant on the game state. So let's also wait for that variable, and that's really easy to set up. So all we have to do is extend this logic right here. Okay, so we get our game state. We cast our capture flag game state. I accidentally double clicked it, so it's going to try to open up something, maybe not. Let's promote that to a variable. Okay, and then if all of those succeed, then you'll be ready. How do we handle this? It's the same way. We can even, let's see, what do we want to do? Let's see if we add a reroute. There you go. So if it, oop, bring that down. So it might be a good point to change this into a function, but it's working as an event for right now. So if anything, fails, it's going to replay the timer. If everything succeeds, then it will call this cached variables ready. Okay, they go through here, we bind, we do the on team change. So let's call the on team change. So we got our on team change. Now that game state that I was saying we were waiting for is going to happen here. And as you can see, we could really run into some racing conditions if the game state wasn't ready and we didn't first ensure that it was ready. Okay, and so from here I want to reset character. Okay, and I think, yeah, I put it here. I actually meant to put the reset character in the game state itself. So let's get rid of this from here. And then go to that game state where we put it, or called it, I should say. All right, and we called that in reset all players for endgame in the game state. And what I meant to do is call our own function called reset character in the game state itself. So not the third person character. What I meant to do was, here, I'll just show you. Make a reset character function. And then as an input, put the third person character. So we got our param, so in character. And then BP, I believe, third person character. Object reference, there we go. And then back to our reset all players for endgame. And then we should be able to go reset character. Okay, and then pass through our characters. So, small mistake there. We'll have to do the logic for that, but before we forget, let's go back to the character. Okay, and then on our on team changed, that's where we're going to call reset character. Reset character. And the reason we would do that is because you wouldn't want to change the team and then have the guy just not totally reset. I mean, you shouldn't be able to change team in the mid game and everything act normal. You should go to your spawn point. You should have your team colors changed. You should have your health reset. All of those sorts of things. Okay, so let's go into let me see how I want to do this. Since reset character is going to be has a lot of server functionality, I know I want on team change. I might just want to have client functionality. So or both. So I might just go ahead and do the, let's see. I might set the color right here in its own function. So let's do that. We could always add it to that other function later if we for some reason wanted to. But okay, and that'll give us enough to remember it. At least we have the function there, and we know we just got to fill it in later. Okay, and that will be, since we don't have an authority check there, that's going to run on both, because we haven't done a check yet to stop it from running on both clients and servers from our initial begin play. So let's on team. And set that. There, I can actually see all the nodes. Okay. And let's make sure we pass in a reference to ourselves. because all this logic is going to be handled on the game state. We don't want the player moving himself around. We want the game state to do it. Okay, so since we're here, let's do the authority check. Oh, I keep doing that one. Okay, we want to make sure that we're valid. Okay. Get our character. And so since we're resetting the character, we need to access the player state to get some information. So let's grab the player state from the character. Let's cast to our player state class. Okay, we have it. All right. And we're going to need that because we need team information. Let's get our team spawn points. We don't have those yet. Okay. I'm going to clear up some room up here since we got all this stuff going on. Yep. Okay. Editor preferences, project settings, plugins. Don't need all of that going right now. We don't need the game mode. Okay, third person. So we're going to have spawn points in the world. So let's go ahead and create those real quick. Team. Oh, I made a struct. Do that. No, we're good. It's an actor. Okay, looked like a struct for a second. Okay. Let's open it up. Let's add some stuff to it. Let's add a static mesh. And we could set that as a root. There we go. Just drag it, drop it up there. I believe there's an actor class that already comes like this, all pre-made for you, so you wouldn't have to add a static mesh, but whatever. This is fine. I'm just going to take a cone. Doesn't matter really what it is. Just pick something. Compile, save, click off of it, click on it. Let's set its material to something that you can see. Green is fine. Just so it's easier to see in the world. Let's add a team to it. So team, we'll use our team enum. There it is. Defaults to no team. Let's leave it as is. We'll come right back to it. Let's go to the game state.